number 3 in the Challenger Playoffs final. These two locks at 1 point apiece. Somebody will be sleeping rather better at the end of the evening.
Nathan Outteridge and his team are coming in from on port tack. They're allowed to come in 10 seconds before the starboard tack boat to try to avoid these massive potential of a massive collision of crazy closing speeds. So the port tack boat is allowed to cross ahead first. And he's taken a rather interesting course, kind of reaching up high in the box. Usually we see people come into the starting box quite low, meaning away from the wind, down to the bottom of the box. But look at Outteridge. Has anybody told him where the starting line is? This is kind of an interesting. We haven't seen a whole lot of this. Throwing a little bit of a wrench into the starting procedure.
It'll be pretty much on the breeze out of that.
Serious pace being built up in the starting box. Outteridge and Burling locking horns again. Sweden against New Zealand. And even in the entry box, the battle, the jousting is well underway. These two just trying to outmaneuver each other and get into position in the favoured space.
The push and shove going on here right now. Artemis pushing Emirates Team New Zealand hard toward the starting line, and then they decide to just kind of roll over the top and gap off. These boats are very early coming into towards the start line right now. You'd have to, at this stage, favor the position of Emirates Team New Zealand. Artemis trying to go over the top. Is there an overlap between the two boats right now? Team New Zealand will continue to push. If they can keep pushing up the line,
Okay, watch this.
they could make this difficult. But I think they just might be happy to kind of just do this time and distance thing and head for the mark. They will have an overlap, though.
3, 2,
Such a delicate balance.
Please start.
But they have trod that fine line pretty carefully, both of these two.
Remember the angle difference for Artemis. Sorry, Ali, that angle difference from the top of the line over the shorter distance from Emirates Team New Zealand's part of the line.
So for the third time this afternoon, the Swedes off to the better start, and they're the boat out in front as they reach for the first mark.
The better angle won. Time and distance-wise, I thought the Kiwis got up on their foils pretty effectively there, but Artemis showed a burst of speed off the line.
Tell you what, we're up into the 40-knot category here, which is as fast as we've seen the Kiwis, even well beyond that. 42 knots of boat speed. Does that indicate that the wind has picked up a good deal?
Well, let's go back to Joey Newton on the water. Joey, a little more breeze?
Yeah, it's picked up a little bit, Ken. I just think it's due to there's a little bit of weather up to the windward side of the course where it's raining, and that's pushing quite a bit more breeze through. So we could see as much as 14 or 15 knots for this race.
We can't give them space behind us.
Ali, I think it's safe to say there's not much in it. One boat essentially in the lap of the other boat here right now.
Again, similar dynamic, isn't it, to what we saw in race number 2. Racing in tight confines.
At this time in the regatta, you better be perfect, and both of these boats are proving that perfection is possible.
They were happy to go straight because they will have the inside. What do you think, Nate? They're happy to go straight. Let's get to the zone. At the moment, I'd say pressure's still on the left. Up the course loop. Yeah. He's Kiwi in, but he could change. Let's just go left, Mike. Yeah, early tack. It's only 40 metres now, it's a loss to him, okay?
It's really instructive to see the collaborative effort of the Swedes and the chat between them. The communication is very strong. It's one of their strongest elements, as we see an excellent mark rounding from them. The Kiwis splitting the course, not nearly so talkative, but they are off hunting air in a different direction.
40 seconds there, facing up.
The Kiwis just pulled off that super tough last-second jibe maneuver going into that gate in order to gain the split. They didn't follow around this time. I think it's something probably that they talked about in between races. Twice now, they've simply followed around Artemis in that bottom gate. This time around, they chose to do the split.
And by doing that, Ken, by following them around, they're essentially waiting for the error, right?
Waiting for the error, and they're sitting in their coach boat, and I guarantee their coach is saying, these guys ain't making many errors right now, so let's start mixing it up a little bit and go off and try to do our thing and find a good wind shift.
Proactivity.
Yeah, what you're doing now is good.
From the New Zealanders. Still the chat comes from Ian Percy.
Sorry, Ali. Even though the first cross may come back to Artemis, Artemis has to make a choice here. Do you tack on top of the other boat, or do you continue allowing the split?
We haven't got a hit, we keep going.
Right, so you heard Ian Percy say we don't have a hit, keep going, which means they still have a split. You know, that split didn't just happen at the bottom mark, didn't just happen on here in the first cross. They're going to get another shot at a wind shift here. So that's what you're setting yourself up for. Doesn't have to happen. The miracle doesn't have to happen immediately, but hopefully the wind gods help you out if you're Emirates Team New Zealand as you go up the race course.
Very little in it still as they head upwind on this third leg of 7. The Swedes with a narrow advantage, which they have held from the word go.
It will lift back up in a minute.
This is going to be a reasonably tight cross.
Slight right-hand wind shift, as indicated in the upper corner. That course access is 230. The breeze is currently at 235. Slight gain for Emirates Team New Zealand coming back on that cross.
Just in case we have to come in on A-line to the top of the zone.
It's amazing, Ali, the difference in communication. You brought it up earlier on the two boats. Oh, they're sailing a lousy race by so far this race.
Goodness. Get the cat o' nine tails out.
Ian Percy and Nathan Outteridge are far more kind of old school skipper tactician, helmsman tactician communication, where the tactician's almost giving you a play-by-play. It's very much the way I was taught to do it. New school is way different. To be frank, going on this boat and kind of laying out and listening on Emirates Team New Zealand is just hearing to some clinking and clunking. They don't talk. So Burling is all over this by himself. Now we're coming up to a key moment here. If Burling can get into that zone and have a piece of Artemis, he would be allowed to round that left, but Artemis gets across and stays barely in the lead.
Just in the nick of time for the Swedish boat. Round they go, but there is less and less of a gap between these two. And look at the boat speed of the Kiwis. Just piling away from the gate.
The starboard tack boat, Artemis Racing, has right away, but as you approach those marks, there's a whole bunch of other little rules that come into effect. Fact is, no harm, no foul. Artemis squeaks around the mark. Boy, looking at the race course right now, there's a lot of dark water where Artemis Racing was, but Kiwis were going awful fast. And I was just about to say, it looked like Artemis Racing was potentially in a little more wind pressure. We'll have to see what this cross looks like as these boats come back together. I think they've had a little gain. You see that dark water up at the top of the screen. That whole area where Artemis is, just a little bit darker water. So maybe a slight stretch out to 100 meters in this day and age. A massive lead. Look at this.
How tough is it to spot those wind shifts when you're actually flying along at 30, 40 knots though, Ken? Can you instantly see that there would be a change to conditions if you headed off in a particular direction, if you got up there quick enough?
Well, nothing's instant and nothing is assured. You're using your intuition as the tactician, or in the Kiwis' case, Burling as the helmsman. you're just looking at the water and trying to see the dark patches at that stage. You have instruments on board telling you what the shift is. Is it to the right or to the left? But the key move in these boats, which can gain you so much speed, is stay in the dark water. That means in the best velocity on the race course.
And by their nature, wind shifts are presumably a little shifty, as we see not the cleanest of jibes from the Swedes. That might cost them a little bit as they head towards gate 4. They've got a tight mark rounding as well. Round they go, and the Kiwis are recovering well from their maneuver too.
Artemis didn't have a perfect jibe, and all of a sudden we are almost dead even on the race course. Next time back across, the Kiwis will have starboard tack. Here comes their jibe. They're a little unstable going into the jibe. Sorry, this is coming out of the jibe. Not only do they get too low, then they get a little too high. Oof. Don't make a mistake out there, fellas. Late afternoon shower up on the starboard hull. Okay, key moment. Starboard tack, Emirates Team New Zealand. Port tack, Artemis. As we all know, starboard tack boat has right away. Can Artemis get across clean?
TWD meaning true wind direction.
True wind direction. Pretty similar. Nice job. Ali, as a rugby guy, you're starting to get it. Does Artemis have to duck? Is Artemis going to get across clean?
There's not a huge amount in it.
Not for the faint of heart.
I agree, but
2 lengths.
reasonably lifted here. Not on full point yet. This one will be
Ian Jensen, the man nestled in between Nathan Outridge and Ian Percy.
Adding time for pressure.
Watch Percy's eyes. Percy's eyes are looking up at that wing all the time. He's not only looking at pressure in the water, but he's looking at that instrumentation, that box of instruments we saw that are perched up on the wing in order to read the true wind direction. As you just called a minute ago, the actual wind direction. They have an instrument on board that boat that will help guide what that wind direction is. Here comes another tight cross.
Just get the feeling this might be tighter than the last one. So the cross coming your way. The Swedes with their noses in front. The Kiwis in hot pursuit at the moment, trying to make up ground. One apiece in the Challenger Playoffs final, remember.
Just sights we've never seen before. Amazing new camera angles. We have 8 cameras on each boat right now. There's drones flying. There's helicopters everywhere. There's boats, the cameramen on boats.
There's no escape.
There's no escape.
At the moment, the marks are pretty even, all right?
Here's where a little wind shift, a tiny wind shift, is going to make the difference in this race.
Well, they're at opposite ends of the course at the moment, but they are neck and neck in reality.
Look at this. One little left-hand shift, possibly, although the true wind direction seems to be, oh, they were attacking. So the true wind direction goes all over the map when it's that we're actually getting instrumentation off of these boats. Man overboard on Sweden during the
do you want to steer here?
Oh my goodness.
Who is it?
It looks like it
I'm
might...
going to look at them.
Is that Nathan Outridge?
Okay, right hand mark. Go right. Go right, go right, go right. We got enough.
First of all, he's okay.
Well, this is the first time we've seen this in Bermuda, and the Swedes in all kinds of bother with a man down. The Kiwis have streaked out in front, and they will round this gate and head downwind for the final time in the race.
Just when you think you've seen it all, you've got to be kidding me. This might be Outeridge that's in the water.
I think it is. Yeah,
it's Outeridge.
He's gone. The helmsman's gone. and the rest of them are getting a dousing. Can they possibly claw it back from here without their helmsman?
No.
Ken, is that a possibility, or is it game over from here?
Any time here, boys.
I think that's Ian Jensen driving the boat now. He's the wing
That's
trimmer
all right. You
normally.
take this, just clean it off.
No,
You come anytime.
no. That is not. Ian Jensen's still on the right-hand side. It's Paco.
It's
Welcome
over.
to the big time, son.
Yeah, play it safe. Go on.
He won't have done this terribly often, and that might account for the fact that it hasn't been the smoothest of passages since the gate rounding.
I think they're just backing off right now, knowing that this is over.
This is when it happened. This is when Nathan Outridge went disappearing into the drink. Top right of your screen, he's gone. Just the smallest of slides, and out he went.
Sliding into second base, and he's safe. Holy mackerel. Remember,
I guess don't retire yet, just in case, but we just go low and slow. Let's go for a drive here.
so
Yeah,
they're not retiring from the race, but they've decided one man down without their skipper, without their helmsman. Let's just preserve the assets and keep the energy. Actually go out of bounds. It's not gonna be a problem.
So the boundary penalty has been applied, not that it will matter in the final analysis. There's been no decision to retire at this point, but the race is over.
Yeah, Ali, just as we were talking about the perfection that the likes we've never seen.
We've seen it all now, haven't we? I mean, are there further crazy developments to come in this America's Cup, Ken? We've seen the New Zealanders pitch polling and sailors hanging out of their cockpits. And Nathan Outridge flying off the back when the boat was moving at 27 knots.
Well, there's a bit of a G-force, you know, that as the boat gets thrown, it doesn't take too much to get a little out of kilter when you're dashing across a moving object, a sailing, flying missile like these things are. So I can't say that it's unheard of. The good news is when he fell off the boat, that rudder blade, A, it's sharp, B, it's strong, C, that could do some serious damage to a human being.
Absolutely.
So he missed
presumably it was a saving grace that he fell sideways off the boat as opposed to directly out the back.
Exactly correct. Frank Camas got really hurt. The skipper of Group Alma Team France really hurt. His leg really hurt during trialing. That's probably a year and a half or so ago when his leg did hit the rudder when he fell off. So falling off is not unheard of. Fortunately, missing the rudder is the key part of Nathan Outridge's day. Listen, they're going to be ticked off at the end of this race, but within a couple days, he'll be getting plenty of grief from his buddies.
Dramatic developments out on the Great Sound as the Kiwis hammer their way over the finishing line. They've won race 3. They move 2-1 ahead in the Challenger Playoffs final. Nathan Outridge overboard for Sweden, and Peter Burling capitalizing on his misfortune. We've had confirmation, thankfully, that Nathan Outridge is fine and well.
Yeah, just got to get the floor down.
And just honing his front crawl.
Yep, all okay, right?
There he is, safely back in the confines of the Artemis tender.
Right.
Goodness me.
Goodness me. I mean, we knew this series was going to be a good one. Two incredible quality teams. Let's go to Joey Newton again. Joey, I've seen some videos of Oracle out testing and training. It's not unheard of to have people flying overboard. In fact, if I remember correctly, you might have taken a little swim out in San Francisco, didn't you?
Yeah, I actually fell off coming into the start of the first race of the Americas Cup.